What's the deal, everyone? Welcome back to the studio. I'm Jeremy Deal, and today we're going to be tackling my lens selections for real estate work because it's a question I get quite often, and it was just actually asked like a couple days ago. So let's get right into this. First of all, just so y'all know, I use the Sony a7 IV for both my real estate photo and video work, so it makes for a nice, easy workflow. First, let's do photos. Boom. The number one thing in my arsenal is this bad boy. This is the Sony FE 12 to 24 f4 zoom lens. I have the Wonder Pana system on the front that I talked about last video a little bit, and I've talked about before. It's basically just a big circular polarizer. And this is the lens I use for all of my photography, basically. Every once in a while, I'll switch up if I'm doing like Airbnb or something like that, but I'll get onto that. When I'm doing real estate photography and only photography, this thing never leaves my camera because first of all, it's a 12 to 24 f4. I never need to go shallower than f4 for real estate photos. As a matter of fact, I pretty much never go shallower than like 5.6, I think is the lowest I'd ever go, but usually I'm hovering around f7.1. That's where I try and stay personally. It's a 12 to 24, and on the Sony a7 IV, you can also hit that crop in mode, so that basically doubles it. I don't know, I'll put up the math there, but it makes it a super useful lens because it's super wide. It doesn't show very much distortion. Works really, really well for real estate photography in particular. Now, if you're planning on doing photo and video, I may have actually bought the 2.8 because it would be better in low light situations for video. The f4 is not so bad, but if you're only doing photography, I recommend save yourself some money and just get the f4, especially if you have other lenses you plan on using for video, which I did and do. So let's get back into it. The only other thing I will ever switch to is either the 24 to 70 that's on my camera right now, but I don't like it as much because it's only an f4. But when I'm doing architectural work, I use this lens right here for both my architectural photography and my real estate videography when an agent is on camera. Now, this is the Rokinon 35mm. This thing is a beast. It was actually, I bought it for like $60 from someone. So I was like, why not? And I'm actually surprised at how well it works. It's the one that's usually on my camera when I'm recording these videos. It's the one I use for agent interviews in video work because I find it's a little bit softer than my Sony lenses, which may sound like a bad thing for interview work, but in my opinion, it makes skin look better, especially for female agents or people with blotchy skin. It seems to smooth out that a little more because it is a little lower quality of a lens. So this is basically the cheapest lens I have actually, and it is a good workhorse for me. Once again, real estate, architectural stuff. So when I'm shooting verticals, I'll put this on a lot for Airbnbs. And again, when I'm doing agent interviews for video work. So now let's go ahead and continue on the video spectrum. Let's say if you are using a full frame camera for your video work, so if I'm using my a7 IV and not shooting in 60 frames a second, I'm shooting 24 frames a second, then I'm gonna use the Laowa 12mm 0D full frame right here. This is probably the most beautiful lens I own for real estate video. It is so sharp, it is so clean, it is so nice looking. It goes down to 2.8, which is nice for video work. Nice, clean, bubble front end. My only issue with this is that right now, I don't have a circular polarizer that fits this. My Wonder Pana system doesn't work on it. So I'm trying to figure that out right now. But typically speaking, it doesn't really matter as much. What's nice about using this also, if you're using something full frame, is you can once again use that crop mode and turn this into like a 22 or a 20 or something like that. Whatever that math is, you figure it out. Either way, the Laowa 12mm is like a go-to lens for anything full frame or 24 frames a second for my a7 IV. Next thing, we're gonna go into the main thing I shoot my real estate videos with. This is the Laowa 9mm APS-C lens. Very tiny little guy. It weighs almost nothing, so it's super easy to rig up and fly. I do have a circular polarizer, and I'll talk in a minute about that whole system. I just want to go through the lenses first, and then I'll talk about these little accessories at the very end for you. So what's nice about this, like I said, super tiny, flies super easy. Now, this one in particular does have a bit of vignetting around the edges that I have to deal with in post, which is kind of annoying, but you're using an APS-C 9mm, so I haven't found anything better. And other than vignetting, the distortion that it gives off is very, very low. Not quite as low as the 12mm over here, but definitely low enough for real estate video work that I don't actually have to do any post-production stuff for my video for the distortion in particular. Again, for the vignetting, I do. Now, the other lens that I use is this Sony APS-C 50mm. Now, this thing is super clean, super sharp, f1.8. This is what I get all my vignettes with, my tight macros. And on it right now, you'll also see I have a circular polarizer for this. Now, the reason I use these two lenses together is because they are so similar in weight that when I swap them around, I don't have to rebalance my gimbal. I mean, I press the recalibrate button, so it does that little whole maneuver where it shakes and twirls for you and figures it out, but I don't actually have to manually adjust anything. And this circular polarizer is a 49. Is that what it is? Hold on, let's see what's on the front of this. Boom, I was right, 49. So 49 swaps between the two, so I don't have to carry multiple polarizers, which is very nice. And again, when I swap through, I don't have to spend any time on the gimbal readjusting between these two. I just do my full round with the wide angle, do everything I need to, then I swap around to the 50mm, and then I go through and do all my vignette and tight shots. Boom, that is my selection for real estate video lenses. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, break them down below. I'll make a video about it. That's it. I guess, yeah, I'll catch you next time with all these lenses. I'll catch you next time.